All right, let's just dive right in. Welcome to this explainer where we're going to unpack one of the most incredible, almost unbelievable survival stories in human history. We're looking at an entire nation that literally spends every single second fighting back the ocean. And get this, not only do they survive, but they've managed to build one of the most highly developed places on Earth, all while practically sitting at the bottom of the sea. I want you to imagine the sheer terror of this scenario for a second. Picture going to sleep at night knowing that millions of tons of seawater are lurking right outside your front door, knowing that just one broken wall could drown your entire city in a matter of hours. Absolutely terrifying, right? But for millions of people in the Netherlands, this isn't some disaster movie nightmare. It's just, a normal Tuesday. They go about their lives completely in peace. So how on earth do they pull this off? Have they actually defeated the ocean, or did they figure out how to make friends with it? Section 1. A country below the sea. How human action caused the land to sink. So, understanding exactly why the Netherlands is trapped in this geographical bowl is super fascinating. It's actually a textbook case of human intervention completely backfiring over time. See, thousands of years ago, this area was mostly natural swamps and shallow seas. But centuries ago, as people started settling there, they cut down the forests, dried out the wetlands so they could farm, and aggressively mined peat just to survive. Well, this massive extraction had a huge, unintended consequence. It caused the physical ground to literally compress and sink downwards. Couple that sinking land with the rising global sea levels we're seeing in the modern era, and wow, you've essentially engineered your own worst geographical nightmare. And the crucial point we're dealing with today is just staggering. A massive 26%, so more than a quarter of the entire country's landmass, is officially sitting completely below sea level. And the stakes here are astronomically high. We're talking about 60% of the Dutch population living right in these high-risk areas, where the threat of catastrophic flooding is just a daily reality. Honestly, if you were to somehow remove their coastal defenses for even a few hours, a huge portion of the country would simply vanish underwater. Now, you might be wondering, why don't they just pack up and move? Well, because instead of running away, they decided to stand their ground and fight the sea. Which brings us to Section 2, the first line of defense, battling the ocean and internal rain. Now, you obviously can't just close a regular door on the ocean. The Dutch had to build an extraordinary network of dikes and dams. And we're not talking about simple garden walls here. These are massive, multi-meter high defensive shields stretching for literally hundreds of kilometers. They are essentially imprisoning the ocean behind colossal walls. Whenever the tides rise or severe storms hit, these shields are the absolute only thing standing between millions of citizens and total destruction. But here's the catch. Solving one massive problem created a completely new one. Sure, you've locked the ocean out, great job, but what happens when it rains continuously inside those sealed-off walls? The water literally has nowhere to go. So now you've got a threat from the outside and a threat from the inside. To fix this, the Dutch engineered a brilliant system. Advanced sensors are out there measuring internal water levels 24/7. The second the water gets too high, this high-tech network of massive pumps kicks into gear, actively pushing all that trapped rainwater back out into the sea. I mean, if they were to just stop pumping, the country would literally flood itself from the inside out. I really love looking at the evolution of this technology. Back in the past, all this internal pumping was done by those iconic, picturesque windmills you always see on Dutch postcards. They basically harness wind power to mechanically scoop the water out. But today, those windmills have been replaced by a massive, invisible, computerized machine. We're talking high-tech electric pumps and automated systems humming away 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They keep the whole country completely dry while the entire population is just fast asleep. But nature is relentless. Section 3. Disaster and the Delta Works. The storm that changed everything. No matter how good your daily pumping system is, you're always kind of waiting for the ultimate test. And in 1953, a catastrophic megastorm slammed into the Netherlands. The old dams and dikes were completely overwhelmed. They just shattered overnight. Entire villages were literally swallowed by the sea. And tragically, the records show this immense disaster resulted in over 10,800 lives lost. It was a brutal, heartbreaking wake-up call for the entire nation. They realized right then and there that their current defenses just weren't enough, and the next big disaster could completely erase them from the map. Out of that horrific tragedy came a response that is widely considered one of the greatest engineering feats in human history, the Delta Works. This wasn't just about building a taller wall. No, this is an absolute marvel of engineering. It acts as an active mechanical shield for millions of people. It's a monumental network of marine barriers, sluices, locks, and these gigantic steel storm surge gates. During normal weather, these massive gates stay open so ships and marine life can pass right through. But the very second severe storm threatens, these giant steel doors automatically slide shut, basically putting a giant lock on the entire ocean. So they beat the ocean forever, right? Well, not quite. Section 4, the climate change threat, a new, unpredictable enemy. As scientists project that global sea levels are going to just keep rising steadily in the coming decades due to climate change, it's putting unprecedented pressure on all those walls and barriers. And this forces a really profound truth. You cannot defeat nature forever just by building a taller wall. This led to what I think is the most brilliant plot twist in our explainer, a total philosophical shift in how they engineer their survival. The old strategy was all about fighting the water with brute force, higher walls, massive dams. But the new strategy? Live with the water. Make room for it. Adapt your infrastructure to the flooding. Which sounds great in theory, but practically, how do you do that without drowning your citizens? Section 5. Learning to live with water. Engineering the cities of tomorrow. To actually pull this off, they are literally engineering spaces for the floodwaters to go safely. For example, they're constructing entire neighborhoods of floating houses built directly on the water that just rise and fall with the tide. They're designing these beautiful public parks and town squares that people can hang out in on sunny days, but they're engineered to instantly transform into giant emergency reservoirs to hold excess water during heavy rain. They're even designing certain city roads to purposefully become temporary canals when needed. So while the rest of the world is frantically running away from floods, the Netherlands is out there literally building parking spots for the floodwater. Now, this might seem like a highly localized survival strategy, but it has massive global implications today. Section 6, Lessons for the World. Exporting survival technology. Right now, countries all across Asia, Europe, and the Americas are looking directly to Dutch engineers to learn how to survive what's coming. As this quote perfectly summarizes, big problems are solved not by brute force, but with the right thinking and planning. The Netherlands proves that humanity doesn't have to just sit back and be a helpless victim to the forces of nature. If they had thrown in the towel after those devastating floods of 1953, the country probably wouldn't even exist today. But with foresight, science, and incredible engineering, they took their greatest fear and turned it into their absolute greatest strength. And that brings us to the ultimate question. We don't know exactly how high the oceans will rise in the next 50 or 100 years, but we do know for sure that the Netherlands is ready. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder today. As global sea levels inevitably rise and extreme weather becomes more common, is your own city ready to stop fighting the water and start living with it? Could this exact technology be the key to saving where you live? Thanks for exploring this mind-blowing feat of human resilience with us in this explainer. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep looking for those brilliant solutions.